Recording in progress.
Hello, namaste. Good morning. I'm Geny, and this is my glamorous assistant, Peter. And today we're going to work a little bit on getting a bit of the summer into a jam jar, bringing some preserves into our lives. So it isn't difficult to make preserves. For today, I'm going to make a plum jam. I have already taken the stones out of the jam, the plums, and cut them in pieces, and a chutney as well. And the chutney, I have here the pieces of apple, it's windfall apples, and pieces of pears. Now, because I cut them about an hour ago, they start getting a little bit rusty, a little bit oxidated. So I put them into water to keep them as white as they can be. Once they cook, in any case, they will get more dark, a bit of a brownish color. So I took some of the water out, and my glamorous assistants would put it on the big pot,
on the
please.
big pot, yeah.
Yes.
What could possibly go wrong?
And we will need, don't shake it too much. It makes too much noise.
It's shaking like a Polaroid picture.
We need a little bit of water.
Water, yeah. Okay.
And the other pot will have the plums. The water that I boiled in the kettle.
Ah,
thank you. So, I had picked some nectarines for today from the supermarket, but unfortunately they are not very ripened, and you can always tell when the nectarines are not ripened.
How much?
Just to cover.
Okay.
So you put enough water just to cover.
Okay.
That's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough.
Yeah.
If the fruit is not ripened, it will smell of nothing, and this is what these nectarines are doing. They don't smell of anything. So it's better to let them ripen a little bit more. If you like nectarines and you want to do a nice jam with them, nectarines and cardamom work really, really well. So I have one pot with the plums. So put your fruit for jam in one pot and your fruit for the chutneys on the other one. And you put the boiling water on top of it just to cover. So just enough to cover the fruit or a little bit less. You don't need a lot of water. If you're using berries and things like that, you need even less water because they get mushy very quickly. The process of cooking a fruit is already helping to preserve it and to make it last more. Always important to keep all our utensils clean, and don't mix them yet. You can use the spoon. You can use a wooden spoon or a normal metal spoon. And for now, we're just letting the fruit start reducing, start getting into a mush. So what makes jams and chutneys preserve is the use of sugar and the use of vinegar. In the case of chutney, we have vinegar. And chutney, do you know what chutney means? Chutney comes from a Sanskrit word that means finger licking. So it's so nice that you lick your fingers. So in general, you will cook the fruit first and let it reduce. For the purposes of this class, it might happen that your fruit will not be cooked enough. So you will have to continue cooking it a little bit later. It depends on the level of ripeness of the fruit, and it depends on your cooking equipment and everything. For jams and chutneys, we always recommend to have a thick base pan. with a thick base pan, you make sure that the fruit doesn't get burned. So the general proportions between sugar and fruit is you almost double up the kilograms that you have of fruit with sugar, which seems to be a lot. Now, there are other ways of doing it. So on my emails, I told you, get a nice jam jar, sterilize, etc. Jam jars, when you use them to preserve, you will use a jam jar with a lid. So a jam jar with a lid that you can close and keep. Jam jars with a lid will, once you put the hot jam or chutney, you will close it with a lid. You can put a wax paper to make it more hygienic, and you can keep it for a year, 2 years, etc., because it's in a vacuum. Now, if you want to make your jams and have them soon, you can have another type of pot. I particularly like these ones at the moment, which are from candles. You might have seen those big candles. So once the candle is empty, you can melt it out, and you can use the lid and close it. This will not last more than a month or two. But, if you know you're going to have your jam or your chutney for a while, for the next couple of months, then you can use a jam jar like this. And it's easier to get, especially the chutney, to get it out. So whilst you're cooking, I'll show you some stuff that I've made before. Sometimes some people that have been to my yoga days would have tried some of my jams. So this jam doesn't look like much. It's a nectarine one. And I have made it with cardamom. And I have also added raisins. And it's very chunky. So depending on how you like to find your fruit, see, you can see in there is a big chunk of fruit in there. Depending how you would like to find your fruit, this one you can use for accompanying dishes. I love this one. You can use it for, and it's spicy as well. I have forgotten how spicy it is. So you can use this type of things to make sweet and sour dishes. Using chutneys and jams, especially chutneys, help the digestion. And this is why we have always a lot of spices. And if you go to Indian restaurants, you always see a little bit of chutney on the side. And that's to help you to digest. This one is a plum jam that I made some time ago. And as you can see, it's a lot smoother because the plum will reduce quite a lot and become smooth. So the color of the plums when you first cut them, they are maybe yellowy on the inside and purple on the outside. You're singing, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forgot myself.
He keeps singing. I get the background songs of Peter. So when you cook it, the whole thing starts changing. So changing colors. In here you have the apples and pears, and in here you have the plums. So in the plums we have a little bit too much liquid right now. The solutions are two. Either you can let it evaporate, or you could take some of the liquid out and have it as a tea. It's really nice. Okay, so for the chutney, we are going to add the onions that Peter has professionally chopped. This is a small onion, and for the amount of fruit that I have, I will not use it all. I will use just some of it because I don't want the chutney to get too pungent. According to Ayurveda, we need to have all of the flavors in our food: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. And this is partly what we are trying to achieve. So I added the onion to the apple and the pears. If you're waiting for your jam, for the fruit to reduce, check it out. So in here you can see mine is nearly ready. These are like quick jams. The trick with jams is that they need to get into a setting mode. Please peel it and chop it. I'm gonna add some ginger to my chutney, but you can add it as well to the jams. So if you like spiciness, add ginger to a jam and see what that feels like. So how much ginger? About a thumb of ginger. The first time I got introduced to making jams and chutneys was through the mother of an ex-boyfriend of mine. Her name is Rosie, and she even got me a big pot to make chutneys. She has a big apple tree in her garden, and I've never looked back since. In Argentina, where I'm from, making jams and chutneys is not traditional. It's not something that people will often make. But I am grateful to be in this country and to be able to experiment with this. Okay, so the jam, I'm going to take liquid out because it is too much liquid, and this is just for a means of speeding up the process. And the liquid is so beautiful. You could take the juice and put a bit of sugar and make it into a syrup. Very good for cocktails. All right. So the chutney is boiling along nicely, and so is the jam. You're still singing, Puppy? Look at this.
Apple chopped up as well.
Yes, please. Yeah. Look at this color. Amazing. Actually, can you grate it?
Grate it. All right.
So if the fruit that you use doesn't have a lot of pectin, pectin is the congealing element of fruit. If the fruit that you use doesn't have a lot of pectin, using an apple is a good trick. So I'm gonna add to my plum a grated apple, and the apple doesn't taste a lot, so it will just give a bit more consistency and get the jam to congeal. If it doesn't, you could use agar-agar for a vegan option. Adding a little bit, it's like a gelatin, or you can also use gelatin if your jam is very runny. But I don't like very solid jams, so the more you cook it, the more firm it will be. Okay, I'm now going to add the muscovado sugar to my chutney. And immediately starts turning into this beautiful golden brown color. If you decide to put less sugar to your preserves, they will last a shorter period of time. So that's the negotiation that you make. You might have a less sweet and calorie full type of cooking, but at the same time you have a something that is nice and fresh.
Just look at that.
Good. So you can see the apple here already,
It's
just by
oxidizing,
grating it,
yeah.
is oxidated. So I'm gonna add the apple to the jam.
Yeah. This one.
Thank you. And the apple, because it's grated, is gonna disappear in the jam. Good. Now, I'm adding some raisins to my chutney. And the raisins will swell with the water. And I also like adding spices. So I'm gonna add to my chutney some nutmeg. Nutmeg is a nervine type of herb, and it enhances the flavors. And for my jam, I'm gonna add some cinnamon. So some people like cinnamon, some people don't. See if you like it. Perfect. Any spices that make your senses sing are good for you and good for your cooking. Don't put the same spoon.
Oh.
Yeah. This one has onions. That is the jam. Yeah. Good. Lovely. So the chutney right now is also bubbling away quite nicely, but it will need to evaporate. This is quite a lot of liquid, so it will need to evaporate. I'm gonna now add the vinegar. So I don't know if you ever do you have vinegar? If you don't have vinegar, then perfect. Good. Well done. Yes. How much vinegar? Well, it depends how much fruit and it depends how long will you boil it. I'm going to put about, I don't know if I can open this because it will take forever. Can you open that?
Yes, it's open. Look. It just
No.
lifts up.
It pours very slowly, my mom.
Oh, okay. Where do you want it?
Can you open this?
Let me get a knife into it.
So I'm gonna add to about a bowl full of apples and pears. I'm gonna add that much vinegar. And did you know that a chutney is the same recipe, more or less, as a ketchup? So if you have the same ingredients as you have in a chutney and you liquidize it, it becomes ketchup. So my glamorous assistant is doing the hard work. Can you do it?
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. I add it like this, otherwise
Yeah, it's not going to come off.
it's not going to come
They're
off.
sealed in the factory.
So if you have a vinegar that is for chips,
I can
you might
make
have to spend some time.
I can puncture it so it's bigger. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or cut it.
Yeah, just puncture it. There's always more than one way to
Alright.
skin a cat, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. We have wisdom in the kitchen. So let me show you how my jam is going. You can see right now it's like a bit of a mush.
Be careful now because that will fall out quite quick.
Good. So we have the engineer giving us some solutions for the vinegar. So I already added some vinegar. I'm gonna add this much to the chutney. The vinegar will also make the fruit become a little bit more crunchy, so it will not be completely mashed. So if your jam is already mushy, is already looking kind of cooked, then you can add the sugar. I have more or less the same amount of sugar as fruit. Because this fruit is late season, it will have less pectin. So you switch off the fire, switch off the heat, and you start pouring in the sugar. Do you want to bring the computer and show as I'm pouring in? So you pour in the sugar. And do it slowly so that you can go a little bit further back, so that it can dissolve. It feels like a lot of sugar, but you need it if you want to preserve your jam. Having the sugar with the fruit will make the concoction a bit more transparent. Put it back, thank you. Lovely. And it's good to get the whole family involved in this type of things. Peter last night tidied up the kitchen and got everything ready for me to show you. This morning I did a prep of about probably 40 minutes or so, cutting everything, getting everything ready. But you can take your time and enjoy the process, enjoy the smell of the fruit, enjoy the activity itself. Cooking will stimulate your senses. All right, and you can try.
That's looking good, isn't it?
It's cooking good, yes. You can try your jams and chutneys as you start doing it. So a little tip as to how to know the setting point of your jam. So you take a spoon of your jam. I love the color. And when you tip it, you'll see how runny it is. The jam will congeal a bit more as it gets cooler. So if you sway it a little bit on the Oh, Siri is talking to me for some reason.
What was that, Siri?
Yes. So if you have your spoon and you let the jam cool a little bit, then you can see that the liquid starts being a bit more solid, a bit more like gelatin. Can you see? It takes a little bit longer to fall off the spoon. The jam setting point is a bit more solid than that. So another way of checking it is putting it in a plate. And if you can see a line as you pass it, then you know that your jam is setting. Good. So, do we have any questions? How are we doing? Open your mics. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm using the jaggery and the coconut sugar, I turned the heat off before I put the sugar in.
Yes.
But I think it's not hot enough to be setting point. Can I just put the heat back on
Yeah,
again?
yes, you should definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And
So it's a good question. We switch off the heat as we put the sugar so that it doesn't caramelize at the bottom. But once it's mixed, we put the heat back on because it needs to continue cooking. Yes. Perfect. What else were you asking?
So then you just keep trying and letting it, and just let it boil and keep trying to see if it's setting.
Yes. The jam will start getting more solidified as you cook it. Right now, it needs at least, I would say, my jam will need at least another 20 minutes cooking. But I know from the remains, can you take a spoon and see how
It's runny.
it's very runny?
Yeah.
So you need to let it set a little bit more. Do you have an apple?
An apple? No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't. Never mind.
No. But if I keep it on full heat now,
Not in full heat. It has to cook in low heat.
low heat. Okay.
Low
fine.
heat, so that the fruit doesn't get burned, and you cook it until it reduces enough to have a bit of a jam consistency.
Okay. Right.
Maybe
It's going to be about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I should think.
Possibly. Or otherwise, you will have a beautiful coulis.
Tastes
yeah.
delicious.
I know. So you're using blackberries,
Blueberries,
Blueberries?
nectarines, raspberries.
and raspberries.
And I've put cardamom and cinnamon and ginger in it.
Oh,
So it's
nice. Very Ayurvedic. Very nice. Well, this is the beauty of making jams and chutneys yourself, that you are able to experiment and to do things that you wouldn't normally. You would not find a jam in the shops with cardamom and cinnamon and ginger. You wouldn't. So that is the beauty of it. And the other thing that I like about it is that you know that what you're going to eat and what you're going to give your family have no preservatives. So, Peter, tell us about your experience with my jams and chutneys.
Eating them, you mean, or making them?
You never made them.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're really good.
That's it?
Yeah, they're quite Moorish, you know.
When do you eat them?
Any time of the day.
He wants to be in the limelight, but once the limelight is on him, he gets all shy, doesn't
Yeah, but
he?
difficult questions, aren't they?
Difficult questions.
Yeah, too difficult.
Well, tell us whatever you want to tell us.
What about cooking jams and chutneys?
About anything.
Well, yeah, it's not appropriate for that now.
No?
No.
So tell us the story of this apron.
This apron came from my nephews bought this for me.
Where are they from?
They're from Argentina.
Ah!
Yeah. So,
It says, this is what an awesome uncle looks like.
Yeah. So sweet, eh?
Yes, when they came,
I must have brainwashed them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do they know what awesome means in English?
No, I don't think they do, actually. No. So, I think their mum chose it for them, so it's like, oh, that'll keep him happy.
Well, it was bought in Amsterdam, and it was that one, or otherwise,
Yeah.
a rude one.
Yeah. I wanted the rude one, but I didn't get that.
Not for Sunday morning cookery.
No,
So.
exactly.
No, this is a family show. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, your jam will start. How's it going, Helen?
Oh, yeah, that's looking good now.
It's looking good, but it needs
It
a
will
bit.
need a bit longer.
It will need longer. Yes, absolutely.
We could be here half a day doing this.
Half a day doing this. Yes, you don't know how long I spent doing this stuff.
Yeah, but normally you just go away and have a sleep and come back.
I think it's the other way around.
Yes.
He goes away and has the sleep. Okay, so I will show you how mine are going. That's the chutney. The fruit is cooked. It's being cooked quite well. You can see some pieces of ginger still, which is nice to find when you're eating your chutney. The jam, all of this froth from the jam can be taken off because it might make the jam a little bit cloudier. So you can pick it up with a spoon like this and put it in a glass or in a pot, and you can use this. It's not bad for you. It's just aesthetics. And as you can see, the apple has completely disappeared now, and it's slowly starting to congeal.
Is that cloudiness the yeast?
There is no yeast
Oh,
in this
no
one.
yeast.
No, we are not making wine this time.
Oh, shucks.
All right. So with your sterilized jam jars, once you find the setting point, you will pass the jam and the chutney or either into a jam jar and seal it hot. That will create the vacuum that will preserve the jam. If Roberta, if you put it into if you come to the end of your patience and cooking it and you put it in the pot and it's still a little bit running, you could recook it. You could get it out and recook it. There are some sugars that come with pectin. Pectin is what makes it more gelatinized, like a gelatin, and makes the jam set. There are other things that give you pectin. Early blackberries, for instance, have more pectin than late blackberries. If you use apples and you use the cores and the seeds in a little muslin bag, that will also bring pectin to the cookery. The class today was to give you just the encouragement to get started, try it out, see what you can do. And it's not mystery, it's just something that anyone can do. And it's joy to have a little bit of summer bottled up for the autumn and the winter. Okay, Helen, any questions? No? You need a bit more cooking still? Yes, perfect. So we're going to leave it at that. We're going to let the jams and chutneys set. And once they are set, take a photo of your produce and send it along so that we can share it. All right. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you to my glamorous assistant.
See you later, everyone.
See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do face yoga, a bit of eye yoga, and also a face mask to boost our sensory organs, to boost our senses. Thais, all good?
So we use all the jam that we didn't eat.
We use all the jam that we didn't eat, put it in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a bit
gooey. Be lovely. Yeah.
in the head. Yes. Well, banana we can use. So we can tomorrow, if you have it, we'll use banana, honey, oats, and yogurt. You can have all of them or some of them. At least 2 will be good. It's just to nourish the skin.
You can all use it. I'll use oil of Ulay. Yeah. Okay. No.
Very natural indeed.
Yeah.
Not. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Have a lovely Sunday.
Yeah.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.
That went really well, didn't it?
Well done. Well done, Helen.
So I'll take my apron off now.